Welcome. We're so excited this morning that it's not raining. We saw this tiny peak come out and we thought, oh, the line for sunscreen is going to be really long. But everybody knows that even when the sun isn't shining, that there still is need for sunscreen. So I would ask you all to try it out this morning. We're very excited to be here this morning with our friends from Arbella and the city of Boston. This is a wonderful partnership that is bringing sunscreen to more places in the city. We're so fortunate that the city of Boston has been our partner in this project for the last 3 years and really is the model. The Chris Cook and his team at Park and Rec have really gone the distance to make this sunscreen program the model that we are using across this country in Park and Rec. So for Chris and all of the folks that help us at Park and Rec, we are very grateful for your support. So I'm wondering this morning, did you know that in 2019, an estimated 97,000 new cases of melanoma will be diagnosed in this country, and over 1 million people are already living with disease. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in ages 15 to 29, and the deadliest for men over 60. In the state of Massachusetts, we did a great thing a couple of years ago, and we passed a bill to limit, to stop indoor tanning for kids under 18, but we need to do more. Non-melanoma skin cancers, including basal cell and squamous cell carcinoma, affect 3 million Americans each year. And we want to say that with all of this skin cancer, we're spending about $8 billion a year taking care of these. And the other thing that we know is if we are able to limit the amount of ultraviolet radiation that we all take in, that we can reduce the risk of skin cancer. And that's our job. That's why Impact is here. And I think that's why people standing around here today are here as well. The Surgeon General in 2015 issued a statement that said, we need to reduce the risk of skin cancer and melanoma. This is a public health emergency. And when you look at the numbers, think, as you're standing there, think about, do you know anybody that's had skin cancer, basal cell, squamous cell? Do you know anybody that has melanoma? Do you have melanoma? Do you have any kind of skin cancer removed? I bet that no one standing here would say this doesn't affect me. So we're trying to, we're coming up here today and hoping that this summer, with the help of our amazing partners, will make a difference for people using this park. And, really our goal isn't to provide all of the sunscreen for everyone in the universe, but it is to be a beacon that says, oh, I put my sunscreen on, but I'm at this park for hours and I need to reapply, or I just forgot sunscreen today. And what we're trying to do is make it available and make it easy to find. And hopefully you'll see dispensers, you'll continue to see sunscreen dispensers across this city. One of the things that we know is that even one blistering sunburn during childhood or adolescence can nearly double a person's chance of developing melanoma. 5 or more blistering sunburns between the ages of 15 and 20 increases the melanoma risk by 80% and non-melanoma skin cancer by 69%. Of course, there are risk factors. There are risk factors that if you are someone that easily burns, you're at risk. If you have blonde or red hair, a history of excessive sunburn, tanning bed use, a weakened immune system, and those with a family history of melanoma. While Caucasians have the highest risk of melanoma, all skin types have some risk. So that's what we're doing here today. We know that we don't have a cure, but we know that an ounce of prevention can really save lives. So an ounce of sunscreen used appropriately on a regular basis as part of your daily getting ready to go out in the world. So seek shade as well. Wear protective clothing, and don't forget sunglasses. They're really important. We know that that the state of Massachusetts has a very high melanoma rate. We're the 5th highest in the country. And we do a lot of work here. But it also tells us that there's a lot more work for us to do. We need people to think about sun protection as a regular part of taking care of their lives. So the other piece that we're kicking off today is a really great program that we're running that we started called Safe Skin at Work. And this program is focused on outdoor workers. And our friends at Arbella are sponsoring the first part of this program, and we will be working. This week is also Safety Week, and we will be at Skanska Construction, both on Dry Dock and at Boston College, to do skin cancer screenings and raise awareness with employers and managers. So we're excited about this program as well. We're looking at ways of integrating sun protection into all of the things that you do in your life. So I'd like just to call out a few people that are here today. From our Impact Board of Directors, David Colella, Tom Riley, Bill Smith, and Robin Travers have joined us. And Lori Seavey, who is the manager of this program, is here and always willing to talk to anybody about sunscreen. We want you to understand how we are trying to make a difference. It's my pleasure this morning also to give a shout out to our good friend Steve Healy from Chris Cook's department. Steve was here very early this morning putting our sunscreen dispenser, sunscreen station together, and he has been an advocate and has helped us solve numerous challenges. So Steve, I know you're there. And we just want to say a very big thank you to you and your team. It's my pleasure to introduce Chris Cook. As he has a really big title now. It's called the Chief of Environment, Energy, and Open Space. We know Chris as somebody with vision and leadership and willing to take a risk on this model that hopefully will be on the map as the model for Park and Recs as we're going forward. So, Chris.
Oh, thank you very much, Deb. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deb, and thank you for your leadership. She talked about the long title. The longer the title gets, the less power you have, you know? So the shorter the title, like mayor, it's very powerful. I want to thank everyone for being up here. I want to thank Deb for her leadership on this. I just want to acknowledge a few things about this park and where we are in general. As most of you know, this is the former Gardner Street dump, and this place was transformed into the amazing recreational facility that it is, and it's taken care of every day by Kevin and Sean, and they work really hard to make this an incredible recreational space. But as you can see, a lot of the trees and the tree canopy up here is still emerging, and there are tons of places in this park that we can't actually even plant trees because of the landfill. And yet, it's the major recreational space, and I know Parkway Soccer, if you give Parkway Soccer a round of applause for everything they do, and obviously Parkway Youth Sports as well. Every weekend, Parkway has thousands and thousands of kids from all backgrounds up here taking advantage of this incredible space, and it's an amazing field. And yet, we have to remember that we can't expose our kids to any harm and to any danger. And with the climate crisis we're in, the exposure to UV rays is going to become more and more prevalent. So as kids leave their homes in the morning, we have to make sunscreen available to those who don't have it in their homes. We have to make it available at schools. We have to make it available at parks and playgrounds. It is a public health responsibility of government to protect our children from threats from melanoma, from basal cell, from other carcinomas. And so we're very, very proud to partner with the foundation. Deb also also mentioned the hard work of Steve Healy at the Boston Parks and Recreation Department. I'd just like to echo that, Steve. Thank you very much for everything you did on this initiative and other projects. And then the last thing I would say is that we have extraordinary leadership in this city and a willingness to try new things. It is very, very easy, especially with the introduction of lawyers, to say we couldn't possibly distribute something like sunscreen in parks. What if it's not strong enough and somebody sues us later and da-da-da-da-da-da? There's a million different ways that good ideas can die in a bureaucracy, and yet with leadership, good ideas can be tried, they can surface, and they can be implemented. And there's no one who is more willing to try new things in our city than the Mayor of Boston. Please welcome Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you very much, Chris. And I want to thank Chris and his team for the great work they do every day. I see Ryan Woods is here from the Parks Department as well. Thank you, Ryan, and all the folks from the Parks Department for the great work you do every single day. I want to thank City Councilman O'Malley for his leadership. We would not be here announcing this dispenser here if it wasn't for Matt, and I'm going to talk about Matt in a minute. Deb, I want to thank you too, and Impact Melanoma for your great work here in the city and helping educate people and educate all of the city of Boston and the people that live in our city on the importance of making sure that sunscreen is used. Arbella Insurance, thank you for your support. This is the first sun safety station in 2019 that we're launching here in Millennium Park, and it is exciting. And you're right, there's thousands of young people in this park every single weekend and at night after school, and soon when school gets out, this park will be having kids here all the time. It's important to understand that we want to make sure that we protect and take a role in protecting our young people and our people of our city. These stations will be all over the city of Boston. It's a part of a proactive approach to public health. We have one of the greatest park systems in the country. I think we have the greatest park system in the country, but we also need to make sure that our parks are a place of health for people to be able to come and enjoy. And that's what we hear today. A big part of health is prevention. And making sure that people understand the risks and making sure that people understand protecting yourself and what that means. And as a redhead with fair skin, I have to put a lot of sunscreen on, so I got to make sure that we continue to pass that message along. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and it's important for us as a city. Not everyone understands the importance of protecting their skin. People take it for granted. They think they're only out in the sun for 5 minutes or an hour, and they don't realize the impacts of sun and what it does to you. Melanoma, as was already said, is on the rise. It's the second most cause of cancer between young people between the ages of 15 and 29. It can strike anyone. It can strike any race. As we're heading into the summer, it's important for us to kind of understand that and pass that along. We talk a lot about climate change in Boston. Climate change is real, and it has increased the risks. So we're going to continue to work together. We're going to continue to make sure that we're resilient on the issue and continue to pass along and educate people. We're here today because of Matt O'Malley. We're here today because Matt's dad's here. Matt's family went through a situation, very sad situation several years ago. And Matt could have just kind of let that situation go and his family grief. They didn't. What he did, he started to talk about, he came over to me and talked about putting sunscreen dispensers in every park in the city of Boston. And we began the conversation. And it was a simple conversation that for a very complex issue. It wasn't simply putting sunscreen places inside parks. It was about education, about making sure people are safe, about making sure that we do it right, about being leaders in the country. And I want to thank Matt O'Malley for his leadership here, and I want to thank his family for their leadership here, because we would not be here today, I don't think, in the way we are across the city of Boston if it wasn't for his leadership in this issue. I'm going to ask Matt O'Malley to come up here and say a few words.
Thank you, Your Honor. It is a wonderful day. And I think back to the day 4 years ago. I was sitting in my office. Many of you have heard this story, and a woman contacted me. Her name is Adrienne Levin. She was then a dermatology student. She's now a doctor. And she had just visited Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. And she said there were sunscreen dispensers there. I think we should have them on Boston Common. And I said, well, that's an interesting idea. I'd never heard of such a thing. I said, well, let me ask you, why did you come to me? And she said, well, I know you're passionate about the parks, and you're a redhead. I said, both of those are true. Unfortunately for us, we have a mayor who's passionate about the parks and is also a redhead. I did a hearing order, and literally the next morning at 8:30 in the morning, I happened to have been at the office early, I got a call from Deb Gerard, who was Impact Melanoma, was then called, I believe, the Melanoma Foundation of New England at the time, and she said, I read about this issue, I think it's great, and I want us to support it. I want us to help underwrite it. And I said, well, that's great. You know, what are you thinking of? She said, no, we will underwrite the entire program. And it's rare that anything ever happens in politics that comes together so quickly, comes together at no cost to the taxpayers. But it was a vision that we all shared, that the mayor shared, that Chris Cook shared. And that summer, we were able to put 50 dispensers at parks and playgrounds throughout the city of Boston. And it was so innovative. More press was generated from that than anything I've done. I fully recognize the first line of my obituary is going to say he helped bring sunscreen dispensers to Boston, and I'm great with that. It was a potential highlight of my life personally and professionally when The Simpsons visited Boston and made reference of the sunscreen dispensers, which was a great, I think, testament to the work we're doing here. But the better testament to the work we're doing here is now this innovative idea that occurred in literally a handful, 3 or 4 cities and parks and playgrounds around the country. Now, every state in the United States, all 50 states, has some free sunscreen dispensers. I mean, that's a remarkable thing. And that was another example of this city leading the way, of a partnership between the city of Boston and incredible organizations like Impact Melanoma, who once again are saving lives, are increasing awareness, are letting folks know that this is why it's so important to make sure. Skin cancer is one of the most prevalent forms of cancer. It's also one of the most treatable forms of cancer. So the work and the support of great corporate partners like Arbella Insurance, with the leadership of our mayor, Marty Walsh, with the incredible driving force of Impact Melanoma and all of us, we're saving lives. And this is just another wonderful example of that, and I look forward to seeing these at parks and playgrounds throughout the city, throughout the Commonwealth, and indeed throughout the country. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Deb.
And now I'd like to introduce Marianne Hiller from Arbella Insurance. She's the Director of Communications, and we just love working with Marianne and her team, Megan, Glenn, and Kimberly. They're just awesome and share the vision that we have. And Marianne, welcome.
Thank you. Hi. I'm Marianne Heiler from Arbella Insurance Group, and we are so proud to be partners with Impact Melanoma and all of the programs that they're running. Thanking you for your leadership. It's incredible, the passion that goes into something like this, bringing this to people, and I'm proud to be part of any kind of program that helps on this level. So thank you very much.
And I'd like to thank all of you for coming this morning. Please stop by our table. We have some great lip balms and materials. Please take them with you and share them with your friends and family. And make sure you get up here and make sure you see sunscreen dispensers across this Commonwealth and take a picture and text them over to us. We'd love to see it too. Thank you so much.